Now that we have all the visuals populated over here onto this page, I would like to control or give control to the consumer by just putting slicer. It's a visual filter that we can put it over here. And I'll not be putting only one, but two slicers. First of all, I'll go over here into the visualization and you see that there is something with a filter icon, that is a slicer. I'll click on it to insert the same, and let me squeeze it to halfway, and this time I'm going to insert a slicer for a date, right? Because it's 2.5 years of data, so the consumer must have the control to see for a particular period of time. So I'll come over here and search for the date field, and I'm going to drop it over here into the slicer. I can drop it over here also or in the fields, same thing. So I'm getting a very good control over this. Can you see? It's a slider that I'm getting, and by default it'll get applicable to the entire report. So every visual is interactive by default. That is what we need to understand. Look at that. So I change this and it's actually changing everything onto the report. That's the power of slicer. Okay, which is good. I'm okay with that. Right. Apart from that, let me just do one more thing. Let me just put in this break also over here between the slicers. Let me just squeeze it. This is the minimum I can keep it into the report. So I'm okay with this, and let me create one more slicer this time. Okay, so I have it with me, and now I'll be creating a slicer. Let me just drag it slightly. Yeah. This time again one slicer, but this time I'll be creating one for the continent, because I have some geographical fields. I want to give the control to the consumer that if they want to see the data for Europe continent, for specific continent, that they will be able to do it. So I'll search for the continent and drop it into the field. There I go. And let me just put it into the focus mode, because I want to show you some options related to that. Once you have the slicer with you, you have this little drop down. Once you click on the drop down, you will notice you have the list as well as some option comes in. So I can click on the drop down to select it from the drop down over here. And from here, if you have that list, you can actually come to these. If the list is huge, right now we have only 3 continents with us. But if the list is huge, like the list of products or the customers, then you can click on these 3 ellipses and you have an option to search. So you can simply search just by putting some keywords. That's a facility which is available. I'll just go with this list, and the best part is I'm going to change the entire view of this. How? I'll just go back. I want to show you, very interesting. I really like it, and let me first put it over here on its own place. Here we go. Correct. Okay, now I'll go to this format, and I don't want that list, that kind of a check boxes. So I'll go to format and go to journal, and if you see over here, orientation is vertical. I'll change it to horizontal. This will convert it into buttons. If you see, if I hover over this, these are the buttons now. And also I'll go to the selection control and would like to go with an option which is select all. So I'll be having the 4th button, select all Europe, North America, Pacific, this way. So this is very interesting. I personally like about this slicer. So for example, I need to see the data for the entire Europe. So I'll simply click on Europe, and you can see the data has been changed. In fact, the map is now started showing the data for only Europe continent. So that's very amazing. Okay, I'll click it once back so that it'll just ignore that filter. It'll remove that filter. Regarding one small, before I end up this clip, I want to talk about this slicer because the space is very less. Let me just drag over here and increase the space, and let me put into the focus mode. You remember I've just discussed about this drop down. Because it's a date slicer, you will see lot many options like before, okay, and after, and then we have the list option also available. What I really like is this relative date. This you may find in a Gmail, that you want to search for a particular email in the relative period from last month, 1 month from the last month, and XYZ. So that is something that you can also go with. I'm just talking about this option. I'll just go with between as of now. I'm happy with that. I'll go back and simply place it on its own place. Correct. There I go. Let me just drag. There you go. Yeah. Okay, seems good. So this is how we have created an entire page. I need to add one more visual. Just stick with me for the next clip. Thank you so much.